Hey everyone, Mark Johnson here, and welcome to MJ Guitar TV. The other day I did a video on sanding and acknowledged how difficult it might be to sit here and sand for hours at a time. And I mentioned there, you just have to wrap your head around it. That's all you can do. But I wanted to give you some practical help in that. And so what I have here right now is I've got a Mirage Standard here that's been primed, and I'll be doing some sanding on it, maybe repriming it again. I don't know. We'll see how it goes after I sand it for a little bit. But I wanted to talk about some of the things that I use in sanding. I want to talk about sandpaper, things of like that, some practical things. So I've got a sanding block that I use. These here, can be purchased at any hardware store. Then I had an old one of these, and I took and I cut it up and I made a small block. You'll notice that this block here has a curve on it, right there. And so what I'm able to do is take a small piece of sandpaper and I wrap it around the block, and I can hold it like that, and I can sand inside some of these negative curves here that I have on the instruments. And then I also have just a wooden block, kind of a thin one. And again, I take the sandpaper and I just wrap it around there, and then I can sand flat areas. Like I may want to get this headstock really flat, or the inside, any flat area, I'll use this, and it can sand it and get it nice and flat. Now, sandpaper here. This is a 3M product. It's a 3M 180 silicone carbide, gold. It's not a cheap sandpaper. It's pretty expensive, but it's a good quality, and that's important. No matter what it is, get a really good quality sandpaper. You can go to your hardware store. You can get a garnet paper. In my opinion, it's a waste of time. You might as well just slit your wrists and get it over with, okay? Because you're gonna hate it. You're gonna hate that. It's not very sharp, it loads up. The grit is not bound to the paper very well, and so as you're sanding it, it's rolling off, and anyway, it's just a mess. Spend a little bit more money, get a good quality sandpaper. As I mentioned, this is a 3M, but there's other brands. Norton makes a really nice sandpaper, very sharp. It's bound to the paper really well so that the grit doesn't come off. 3M also makes one they call a Pro version. It's purple in color, silicone carbide, nice and sharp there. And it's the bonding process of the grit is done so well that it stays on there and stays sharp for a while. Now in sanding, you want it to work quickly, okay, because then that shortens your sanding time, and you don't want it loading up, especially when you're sanding finish. Some of finishes or sandpaper will load up, and then you got to clean it, and anyway, it's a mess. Here's some little tips that I've learned over the years. You might think, oh, that's kind of ridiculous. What can you do with sandpaper? Well, just bear with me a little bit here. Maybe this is some things you haven't thought of. It really makes it more productive. And anyway, let me just show you what I do. I'll start off with a 8.5 square piece of sandpaper, and I fold the grit in on itself with the smooth side out, and I fold it in half the lengthways. And then with my fingernails, I score this edge here, which is going to make it much easier to tear. So you don't have to have any kind of special thing for cutting these. It's just really quick. And there it tears nicely. Now, this half a sheet can be put on a larger block for taking down inlay on the fingerboard, stuff like that, radiusing. So I'm left with this half sheet, and I want to cut it in half again. And I'm going to do it lengthwise again, with the grit side against each other, the smooth side out. I'm going to score that edge there to make it really sharp and easy to tear. Tear it, and that's it. Perfect. It's that simple. Now, generally speaking, these sanding blocks are designed to have paper installed like this. So what you end up with, you're using this surface right here to actually do the sanding, and they're held in there with you bend that thing up out of the way, and anyway, yeah, all right. So as you'll notice, it's not real easy loading these. So the way that I'm going to show you is much faster. But in addition to that, I want you to notice here that this is the area that has actually been used and did the sanding. This area right here that was folded back, that did not get used, and that did not get used. So when you cut them into shape like this and load it like they say to load it, you're not going to use all your sandpaper. You're going to use about 2/3 of the sandpaper, and 1/3 of it of the sheet is just going to go to waste. We have no use for that here. We want to use all of it. So I take my quarter sheet like this. I put it on the block. I hold it on there with my fingers there, and I can sand it. Now, when that gets a little bit worn, what I might do is I might turn it like that. Now I've got an area here that has never been used. I can sand that. I can keep turning that if I want to use like that little corner there, okay? Make sure that gets used. I can use that. I can use 100% of this piece of sandpaper. Now, that may not seem like a great thing, but when you buy sleeves of this stuff and you go through hundreds of sleeves, that adds up. That's quite a savings there. Not only is it a savings, but you can see by cutting it and not having to load it on like they want you to load it, just put it on there. I'm sanding while you're still trying to load sandpaper. So it can speed the process up a little bit. Any little thing like that can really help in the sanding process. Okay, now there's another thing that I want to show you here. I'm going to take that other quarter piece that I have left, and I'm going to fold it 3 ways. This time I want the grit side of the sandpaper to be on the outside and the smooth on the inside. So I'm going to fold it into thirds. So I've got a third there folded, and I'm going to take that third and fold it over, and I end up with a piece like this, where I have the grit part of the sandpaper on the outside on both sides. Now what I can use is I can take this and I can use it for doing hand sanding. Why is that important? Well, what if you were to just fold it in half? Say like with this one here, I'm going to fold it, and then you're going to do some sanding. Watch what happens when you got the smooth side against the smooth side. Yeah, that's not sanding right there. That's just smooth against the smooth. Whereas on this one here, it will not move. It grips, it holds it. It really makes it so it sands well. So anyway, those are just some little tips there on how to make sanding a little bit easier, how to take your material, try to make it go a little bit farther, make the process go a little bit faster, and hopefully that will make the sanding a little bit more enjoyable. So if you think you benefited from this and you think I've earned it, then please like and subscribe. And we'll see you in the next episode of MJ Guitar TV. Thank you.